What's up, good people? Some time ago I did a review of the Hyte Y40 and that case was full of surprises, but not everyone is fond of that angled front glass panel. So today I got Y40 here. Can it fill the shoes of its bigger brother? Looking for affordable Windows or Office keys? Look no further, I got you covered. Head over to scdkey.com, pick your Windows edition, use my discount code LE25 to get a 25% on any Windows or Office products. Once you complete your order, after a few seconds you will receive your code. In Windows, go to Settings, there should be an Activate Windows prompt at the bottom. Click that, enter your code and wait for Windows to finish activation. To check the activation status, use the command prompt with the command slmgr.vbs/xpr and you should receive a notification that the machine is permanently activated. Once again, use code LE25 at scdkey.com. The design is of course familiar as it shares a lot with Y60, so the layout is quite similar. Looking at the case from the front, we can notice that it does not come with third angle panel, rather two this time, without any column between them. But you can immediately notice that here we have a much larger floor, so this is a traditional layout case with a PSU in the bottom. The case dimensions are 439mm by 240mm by 472mm. Of course, it's not as big as Y60, which is understandable considering it does not have that third glass panel nor dual chamber design. In the front of the case, same front I/O panel as with Y60, headphones, mic, combo jack, two USB 3.2 ports, large illuminated power button and USB Type-C port. The panels are slightly tinted, just enough to give it a more contrast. The glass is 4mm thick and it's held by pegs up top and it's nicely tucked in the bottom frame. When we look inside the case, the interior layout is familiar and of course the PCIe riser, which will immediately catch your attention. I said it before and I will say it again, it's a best looking riser on the market today. It totally deserves the name luxurious riser. It's Gen 4 by the way. There are more cable cutouts this time, especially on the bottom shroud, but the ones on the side for the major motherboard cables, these now come without rubber grommets. Large cutout on the motherboard is present here as well. It's slightly unusual shape as the case interior follows this design to a certain point. Up top there is a wider than usual cable cutout. On the side there are of course fan mounting rails. Here we can put either two 120 or two 140mm fans or up to 280mm radiator. Here is something that is different from Y60. The floor has only cutouts in the front of the GPU closer to the glass. There are larger holes in the back, but I don't know why Hyte decided not to leave more of the shroud open as on the Y60. The clearances for the CPU air coolers are up to 183mm, so basically everything on the market will fit here, but I must mention this here too, this case was designed with AIO in mind for best possible cooling. The GPU clearance is up to 422mm in length and up to 94mm in height, as it might hit the riser, because the thicker cards can now fit up to 4 slots thick and the riser, the card, is now more pushed to the motherboard side. Back side of the case accepts 120mm fan and this one comes pre-installed. This is a Hyte Flow 120 fan, it's a decent fan, 1300 RPM, but wait, I will explain something later about this fan, actually the position. Moving to the back side of the case, we can now see that we have 4 PCI slots for thicker GPUs or for even real thick ones, not to sit too close to the glass. People were complaining about this with Y60, I also mentioned that in the review, so Hyte listened and now we have this a GPU sitting further away from the glass. Same as with Y60, the only possible way to install a GPU here is in the vertical orientation, something to keep in mind. Other than that, you can see the classic IO shield cutout, 120mm fan, and that the PSU is installed regularly from the inside of the case. The top of the case is easily accessible, just pull the top at the back and it easily goes off as it's only held by pegs. It has a nice design choice with straight angled lines and it also has a dust filter integrated into it. It's a fine mesh dust filter and it doesn't restrict airflow. On top you can install either 3 120 or 2 140mm fans or up to 360mm radiators. It also has a large cutout for the easier access to the upper motherboard cables. Also, this panel is not removable as it was with Y60, where you could remove it, install your fans and AIO and just drop it in the case. Not here, you need to do it the old regular way. Regarding this front part, I thought this was a wireless charger, but turns out it's not, it's just like that. It's there cause reasons you know. The rear panel also follows the same design pattern as the top. Removing it is easy, just pull at the back and off it goes. And it also acts as a dust filter for the side fans, same mesh type, it's actually pretty heavy and good quality with this James Bond type Hyte logo in a spiral. Hyte really has a sense of humor with these patterns and logos around the case. Alright, let's check the rear side and see what it hides. First, side mountings for the fans, as mentioned, 2 120 or 2 140 fans only. Zip ties are also present, I mean the zip tie points all over the case for easy cable routing and managing, and it's all super easy. Large cutout behind the board with an unusual shape, almost looks like that they cut this SSD caddy from it, could be that, it looks familiar. Oh, and this caddy can support either two 2.5-inch drives or one 3.5-inch drive mounted here. Did you notice that it also has the same pattern design as the top panel? Interesting. In the PSU shroud area we have the accessories box. It comes with essentials, a few zip ties, headphones and mic splitter cable and all the necessary screws. Since the PSU shroud is not a regular one, you can see that it has like this raised part with zip tie points where you can route all your cables and secure them, so the included bottom fan can do its job of supplying fresh air to the GPU up top. The fan is the same as the one in the back, it's a Hyte Flow 120 fan, and since the bottom PSU shroud is already covered enough, I honestly think that this should have been a 140mm fan here, just for that much better airflow. Luckily it's removable, so you can install any fan you like. In the bottom we have two removable dust filters, one is removed from this side and the other is removed from the front side. Both of them with this James Bond theme again. Oh, and again we have these legs that are kind of twisted. So building experience with this case is easy, but it has a few twists. Installing a motherboard is easy, you need to remove or angle the riser a bit and you're done with installing the motherboard. But installing an AIO is slightly harder than it was with Y60. Also remember that I mentioned that this fan in the back has issues. Well, it was blocking the AIO as I could not move the AIO to the front nor to the back. It's also closed, tight fit. It needed like 2mm more space to leave this fan here. It looks like Hyte did not calculate for this, so clearances are a bit tighter. The issue that you might have, I mean you might run into it, it's the PSU installing and hiding all the cables, as you need to make sure not to obstruct the fan in the bottom, as cables will block it from ever spinning at all. You can route some of them on that mentioned raised thingy. Honestly, I had no issues and I didn't even use the raised thingy to route the cables. You might have to use it if you plan on using 140mm fan here, but I did not have such issues. Alright, the temperatures. Pretty hot GPU I used here with this build, it's an RTX 3090 paired with hot CPU as well, it's Intel i9-12900K. The fans used here are the Lianli SL Infinity 120 on the Deepcool LT720 AIO and two 140 ones on the side. I did leave the stock fan in the bottom. Honestly, I expected everything to be hotter because of the bottom fan, but side fans did manage to supply enough fresh air to compensate for the slower fan in the bottom. So in the end, the GPU was in high 60s while under heavy load, but idle temps with no fan spinning were in the lower 40s, which is not ideal, at least not according to my standards. This GPU needs to be in the higher 30s while idling. CPU on the other hand was properly cooled mid-50s while gaming, and max stress temps were around 83 degrees in Cinebench R23. The price of this case is around $149 and it's advertised as an S-tier aesthetic case. I think it's a reasonable price considering that the build quality is superb. Everything is on point except some things where I think that Hyte under-delivered. By this I mean the PSU shroud and the bottom fan. Since it already comes with a fan, this not could but should have been a 140mm fan. You can luckily change it for a 140 fan and I strongly advise you do so. Secondly, the PSU shroud or the interior bottom should have had more ventilation cutouts. Same thing as on Y60. I believe that this would have been better for the idle GPU temps. The 140mm fan, if you install it in the bottom, helps with this. And last thing, the rear fan and 360mm AIO. Simply said, it's a no-go, but now when I think of it, maybe if I reversed where the tubes go out, it could have fit here. Let's put this on me, not the issue with the case itself, but hey, what if I want them to be this way, the tubes on front? See, those 2mm would have been nice to have here. Anyhow, it's an amazing case, just as Y60 is. This one is a step in a good direction, but with a more standard look. You know what I mean, but having more space for larger GPUs is a nice thing, especially in this day and age. So Hyte, if you plan on making another case, do something about the bottom fans, make it better cooled. I know that you know how to do it. So yeah guys, if you haven't watched my Hyte Y60 review, I strongly suggest that you check it out as well. Sub to the channel, like and share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.